Many of us struggle with the idea that living a life that pleases God is difficult or complicated. We picture a long list of rules, strict religious routines, or even fear of failure. But what if I told you that it's much simpler than we think? In fact, pleasing God is more about our relationship with Him than ticking off a list of religious duties. Today, I want to show you that living a life that pleases God is easy if we do these 5 things. Point 1. Love is the foundation. It all starts with love, a deep, genuine love for God. In Matthew 22:37-39, Jesus gives us the greatest commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the foundation. Pleasing God doesn't begin with trying to follow a set of rules or ticking off spiritual tasks. It starts with loving Him. When we truly love someone, we want to spend time with them. We care about what they think, and we naturally desire to bring them joy. Think about a relationship you cherish. You don't try to please that person by following a script. Instead, your love leads you to naturally do things that bring them happiness. That's how it is with God. When you start from a place of love, living a life that pleases Him becomes easy, joyful, and fulfilling. You're not checking off boxes. You're living in connection with the one who loves you more than you can imagine. Point 2. Trusting God makes the journey light. Here's the key. Living a life that pleases God is more about trust than performance. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God." Why is faith so important? Because faith is about trust. It's about surrendering our plans, our fears, our anxieties, and placing them in God's hands. It's believing that God is good, that His ways are higher, and that His plans for us are perfect. When we trust God, we stop striving. We no longer feel the pressure to figure everything out on our own. Instead, we walk in confidence, knowing that God is guiding our steps. This is what pleases Him, our trust, our faith. God isn't asking for us to be perfect. He's asking for us to believe that He is. When we let go of trying to control everything and instead say, "God, I trust you with my life," we find peace. That's what pleases Him, our simple, childlike trust. Point 3. Obedience from relationship, not obligation. Obedience to God is crucial, but here's the twist. It's not about obligation. It's about relationship. John 14:15 says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Notice that it doesn't say, "Keep my commandments, and then I'll love you." It's the other way around. First, we love Him. Out of that love comes a desire to live according to His ways. Obedience is not a burden, it's a natural response to love. When we know that God's commandments are for our good, following them is no longer a chore, it's a privilege. Think about this. If someone loves you, truly loves you, wouldn't you want to honor them? That's the essence of obedience in the Christian life. It's not about following rules to gain favor with God. It's about living in such a way that reflects the love He's already shown us. Point 4. God sees the heart, not the performance. One of the most freeing truths about God is this. He looks at the heart, not the outward appearance. In 1 Samuel 16:7, we read, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." God isn't sitting in heaven with a scorecard, watching to see if we mess up. He's looking at our hearts. A life that pleases God isn't one that's perfect. It's one that's genuine. God knows our weaknesses, our struggles, and our desires. What pleases him most is when we come to him with an honest heart, willing to grow, willing to learn, and willing to be transformed. You don't have to be perfect to please God. You just need to be real. Come to him as you are, with your flaws and imperfections, and watch how he works in your life. The beauty of our relationship with God is that he does the heavy lifting. When we surrender our hearts to him, he shapes us and molds us into who he's called us to be. Point 5. Grace, the greatest gift. Finally, living a life that pleases God is all about grace. Ephesians 2:8-9 reminds us, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." This is the heart of it all. We cannot earn God's love or approval through our efforts. We already have it because of what Jesus did on the cross. Grace is what makes living a life that pleases God not only possible, but joyful. When you understand grace, everything changes. You realize that God isn't waiting for you to be perfect. He's waiting for you to accept the gift of grace and walk in it. Grace means you're already loved, you're already accepted, and you're already pleasing to God because of Jesus. And when you live from that place of grace, your actions naturally begin to reflect that truth. You love more deeply, you trust more fully, and you walk in obedience more joyfully. So, is living a life that pleases God difficult? No, it's easier than you think. It's not about striving, it's about resting in God's love. It's not about following a list of rules, it's about cultivating a relationship with him. And it's not about perfection, it's about walking in his grace. When you love God, trust him, and walk in the grace he freely gives, you are living a life that pleases him. Remember, God is not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be real, to come to him with an open heart, and to let his love guide your life.